The morning sun cast long shadows across Fifth Avenue as Maya Richardson walked purposefully down the bustling sidewalk, her high heels clicking against the pavement. Today was meant to be special. She'd promised herself a small celebration after closing a major investment deal worth millions. The thoughts of her team's success brought a warm smile to her face as she approached Bellamy's, the kind of high-end boutique where a single handbag could cost more than most people's monthly rent. Maya smoothed down her crisp Armani suit, a power outfit she'd carefully chosen that morning. The storefront windows gleamed, displaying handbags that caught the sunlight like jewels. Through the spotless glass, she could see several customers browsing inside, their shopping bags suggesting successful purchases. A well-dressed older woman pushed through the heavy glass door, giving Maya a passing glance as she exited. Taking a deep breath, Maya reached for the door handle, but a firm voice stopped her. "Excuse me, ma'am. We're closed for a private event." A security guard, his badge reading Thompson, had stepped in front of her, his hand raised in a stopping gesture. His face wore the practiced blank expression Maya had seen too many times before. "There seem to be other customers shopping inside," Maya said calmly, gesturing toward the window. Her voice remained steady, even as she felt that familiar knot forming in her stomach. "As I said, we're closed for a private event," the guard repeated, slightly louder this time, as if volume would make his lie more convincing. Behind him, another customer, a blonde woman in yoga pants and a designer sweater, walked right past, the guard nodding politely as she entered. Maya felt her phone buzz in her designer briefcase, probably another congratulatory message about the deal she just closed. The irony wasn't lost on her. Here she was, having just orchestrated a $50 million investment deal, being told she couldn't enter a store to buy a handbag. She stood there for a moment, watching as two more customers walked in without any interference. The guard remained in place, his stance making it clear he had no intention of moving. Maya could feel the stares of passers-by, some curious, others uncomfortable, a few understanding. She'd been here before, different stores, different guards, same story. But something felt different this time. Maybe it was the high from her recent success, or maybe it was remembering her mother's words from years ago. When they go low, you go high, then buy the whole dang building. She always thought her mother was joking about that last part. Maya pulled out her phone and took a subtle photo of the storefront, making sure to capture the open sign clearly visible in the window. Then she opened her contacts and scrolled to her lawyer's name. As she walked away, her mind was already racing with possibilities. The guard probably thought she was leaving in defeat, but Maya Richardson was already forming a plan that would change everything. She stopped at a coffee shop around the corner and ordered her usual, an oat milk latte with an extra shot. As she waited for her drink, she sent a quick text to her financial advisor. "Remember that real estate investment we discussed? I think I found the perfect opportunity. Call me ASAP." Maya's hands weren't shaking with anger anymore. They were steady with purpose. That security guard had no idea he just set in motion a chain of events that would transform not just Bellamy's, but the entire retail landscape in downtown Manhattan. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising above and creating lasting change. As she sipped her coffee, Maya allowed herself a small smile. She'd always taught her team that obstacles were just opportunities in disguise. Now, it was time to prove it. That evening, as Maya sat in her home office looking at old family photos, her mind drifted back to where her journey began. The faded photograph in her hands showed a small brick house in Detroit, its paint peeling, but the front porch gleaming clean. Her mother had swept it every morning without fail. She remembered those early morning conversations with her mom, who worked 2 jobs but still managed to press her daughter's school uniforms to perfection. "Baby," she'd say while ironing, "people might judge you by how you look, but they'll remember you by what you achieve." The iron would hiss with steam as her mother shared wisdom earned through years of facing her own challenges. Growing up, money was always tight. Maya's mom worked as a hospital receptionist during the day and cleaned offices at night. But she never let their circumstances dim her daughter's dreams. Instead of buying new clothes for herself, she saved every extra penny for Maya's education fund. Your mind is your greatest asset, she'd remind Maya, especially on those nights when her daughter stayed up late studying under a worn desk lamp. The kitchen table became Maya's first classroom. That's where she learned to count using dried beans, and later, where she figured out complex math problems while her mother prepared dinner. The smell of cornbread and determination filled their small kitchen as Maya worked through her homework, her mother checking on her progress between stirring pots. Her high school teachers noticed her sharp mind, especially Mrs. Chen, who stayed after class to help Maya prepare for this SAT. "You're not just studying for a test," Mrs. Chen would say, "you're building a bridge to your future." Those extra hours paid off when Maya scored in the top 1% nationally. The acceptance letter from Harvard arrived on a rainy Tuesday. Maya still remembered how her mother's hands trembled as she opened the envelope, and how they both cried when they read the scholarship offer. That night, they had a celebration dinner of box mac and cheese, their version of champagne and caviar. College wasn't easy. While other students ordered takeout and went shopping, Maya worked part-time in the library and ate dining hall food. She learned to navigate two worlds, the privileged halls of Harvard and the working-class reality she came from. But she turned this challenge into a strength, developing the ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Business school followed, with Maya graduating at the top of her class. Job offers poured in, but she chose a smaller firm where she could learn everything from the ground up. Her colleagues underestimated her at first, until they saw her in action. One deal at a time, she built her reputation. Climbing the corporate ladder wasn't just about personal success. It was about proving that excellence knows no boundaries. Her mother's voice still guided her through tough decisions. When people try to block your path, build a new road. That advice had served her well as she navigated the male-dominated world of investment banking. She'd faced plenty of closed doors, but instead of getting bitter, she got better. Now, sitting in her office with its view of the city lights, Maya thought about how far she'd come from that little house in Detroit. Her recent success wasn't just about making money. It was about creating change. She picked up her phone and looked at the photo she'd taken of Bellamy's. The store's rejection had stung, but it had also awakened something powerful in her. Her mother had always said that success is the best answer to discrimination. But remember, she'd add, when you make it to the top, send the elevator back down for others. Maya smiled, thinking about how her plan for Bellamy's would do exactly that. It wasn't just about buying a building, it was about transforming a space of exclusion into one of opportunity. This wasn't the first obstacle she'd faced, and it wouldn't be the last. But like her mother taught her, she wouldn't just overcome it. She would turn it into something remarkable. The next morning, Maya sat at her favorite coffee shop, her laptop open, and a stack of papers beside her untouched latte. She wasn't just angry anymore. She was curious. Something about the guard's confidence in turning her away felt too practiced, too routine. Her investment banker instincts kicked in, and she started digging. A quick social media search revealed dozens of similar experiences at Bellamy's. Comments buried deep in review sections told similar stories. They said they were closed. The security guard wouldn't let me in. They claimed it was a private event. The pattern was clear as day, but somehow the store had avoided any serious backlash. Maya pulled up the store's financial records. Being an investment banker had its perks. Bellamy's was doing well, very well in fact. Their profit margins were impressive, but something caught her eye. The store's customer demographic data showed an unusually narrow focus, even for a luxury retailer. Need anything else? The barista stopped by with a fresh cup. Maya had been there for hours, spreading papers across the table like a detective piecing together a puzzle. Just some answers, Maya replied with a smile, taking a sip of her fresh coffee. The barista glanced at her research and raised an eyebrow. You know, the young woman said quietly, I used to work at that building. Not at Bellamy's, but at the little cafe next door. Saw some things that didn't sit right with me. That's why I left. Maya looked up, interested. Would you mind sharing? Over the next 15 minutes, the barista painted a picture of systematic discrimination masked as exclusive customer service. But what really caught Maya's attention was a casual mention of the building's owner wanting to sell. Back at her desk, Maya dug deeper. The building that housed Bellamy's was indeed on the market, but quietly. No public listings, just whispers in real estate circles. The current owner, an elderly real estate mogul, was looking to liquidate some assets. The asking price was steep, but not impossible. She pulled up her investment portfolio on her computer screen. The numbers danced before her eyes as she ran calculations. It would take some creative financing, but it was doable. Very doable. Maya picked up her phone and called her old friend from business school, now a top real estate lawyer. Remember when you said you owed me a favor after I helped with your firm's merger? I think it's time to cash in. Over the next few hours, Maya's office became a command center. Her assistant brought in more coffee as Maya made call after call. Each conversation was careful, strategic. She set up a holding company, Richardson Holdings LLC, to mask her identity. In the world of high-end real estate, anonymity was often the key to a good deal. Her team pulled old property records, tax documents, anything that could give them leverage in negotiations. The more they dug, the more interesting things got. The building had historical significance, which meant certain renovations would need special approval. Maya smiled. That could be useful in negotiations. She sketched out a rough plan on her notepad. This wasn't just about buying a building, it was about creating change. The ground floor could keep its retail space, but the upper floors had potential for so much more. Maybe a business incubator for minority entrepreneurs, or a training center for retail management. As the sun set outside her office window, Maya reviewed the initial proposal her team had put together. The numbers were solid, the strategy sound. But something was missing. She added a note at the bottom. Community impact strategy. After all, her mother had always said that true success lifts others up along the way. She looked at the photo of Bellamy's storefront, still open on her phone. That security guard had no idea that his act of discrimination was about to spark a transformation. Maya wasn't just planning to buy a building. She was planning to change the whole story. Time to show them what excellence really looks like, she whispered to herself, picking up the phone to make one final call for the day. The real work was just beginning. The conference room buzzed with energy as Maya laid out her plan to her most trusted team members. Coffee cups and notebooks covered the long table, and the whiteboard was filled with numbers and strategies. The morning light streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow on their determined faces. Let's think this through carefully, Maya said, standing at the head of the table. We're not just buying a building, we're creating an opportunity for real change. Her fingers tapped thoughtfully on the polished wood as she looked at her team. Her real estate expert, a woman who'd worked her way up from receptionist to senior advisor, spoke first. I've reviewed the building's history. It's been in the same family for 3 generations. They're proud people. They won't sell to just anyone. That's exactly why we need to be subtle, Maya replied, pulling up a presentation on the screen. From this moment on, I'm not Maya Richardson. I'm just Richardson Holdings LLC, a promising investment company looking to expand its portfolio. Her lawyer cleared his throat. I've set up the holding company with 3 layers of privacy protection. Unless someone really digs, they won't know you're behind this. He shuffled through some papers. But Maya, are you sure about keeping your identity hidden? It might actually help the negotiation. Maya shook her head, remembering the guard's dismissive look. No. I want them to judge this deal on its merits, not on who I am, or what I look like. The team worked through lunch, ordering sandwiches that sat half-eaten as they refined their strategy. Maya's financial advisor ran through the numbers again. We'll need to move some investments around, but we can make the down payment without stretching too thin. By mid-afternoon, they had a solid plan. Maya would allow her lawyers to handle all direct communication. Any meetings would be conducted by her representatives while she guided things from behind the scenes. It wasn't just about staying anonymous, it was about maintaining the upper hand. What about after? Someone asked. Once we own it, what's the plan? Maya walked to the window, looking down at the busy street below. First, we'll review all the current leases. Bellamy's lease comes up for renewal in 8 months. She turned back to her team with a slight smile. That's when things get interesting. They spent the next hour outlining Phase 2. What would happen after the purchase? Maya's vision went far beyond just owning the building. She wanted to transform it into a symbol of inclusive luxury, a place where everyone who could afford to shop there would be welcome to shop there. Remember, Maya told her team as they wrapped up, every email, every phone call, every meeting, we have to be perfect. We're not just making a purchase, we're making history. As her team filed out, Maya's assistant stayed behind. You know, she said quietly, my grandmother used to clean offices in that building. She always said she wasn't allowed to use the front entrance. Maya reached out and squeezed her assistant's hand. Times are about to change. That evening, Maya worked late into the night, reviewing every detail of their plan. The building's owner had a reputation for being old school, preferring face-to-face meetings to emails. Her representatives would need to be prepared for anything. She pulled up the building's current market analysis on her computer. The asking price was high, but not unreasonable given the location. Maya had already identified several ways to increase its value: renovations, better amenities, more diverse retail options. This wasn't just about making a statement. It was about making smart business moves. Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother. How are you doing, baby girl? Maya smiled, typing back. About to make you proud, Mom. Really proud. Looking at the building plans spread across her desk, Maya felt a surge of excitement. The security guard who turned her away probably walked past these same plans every day, never imagining they'd soon tell a very different story. Sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest moments of disrespect. Game on, Maya whispered to herself, adding one final note to her strategy document. Make it count. 3 months of careful planning had led to this moment. Maya sat in her car across the street from the building, watching as her lawyers entered through the revolving doors. Today was closing day. Her heart beat faster as she thought about how far they'd come. The negotiations hadn't been easy. The building's owner, a stubborn businessman in his 70s, had rejected their first 2 offers. Too low, he told Maya's representatives, not knowing that each rejection only strengthened her resolve. The third offer, $28.5 million, finally caught his attention. Maya checked her phone. Several messages from her team lit up the screen. Papers are ready. Seller arrived 10 minutes ago. Everything's set. She took a deep breath, remembering the countless late nights that had brought them here. Her team had been incredible, maintaining her privacy while handling every detail. They'd created such a convincing corporate front that the seller's team never questioned who was really behind Richardson Holdings LLC. The building looked different to her now. 3 months of studying its every detail, from the architectural plans to the maintenance records, had made it feel familiar, like a house you've dreamed of buying for years. Soon it would be hers, all 12 stories of prime real estate. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was her mother. Did you eat breakfast? Big days need fuel. Maya smiled, realizing she'd been too nervous to eat. She'd been running on coffee and determination since dawn. Inside the building's conference room, her lawyers were reviewing the final paperwork. They'd insisted she stay away from the closing. too risky for her identity to be revealed now. Instead, she'd watch the building from her car, like a general surveying the battlefield from a safe distance. The previous week had been intense. Last-minute inspections, final financial arrangements, countless document reviews. Maya had barely slept, triple-checking every detail. One mistake could ruin everything. But now, all those pieces were finally falling into place. She thought about the security guard who'd turned her away months ago. He was probably at his usual post right now, still turning away people who looked like her. The irony almost made her laugh. In about an hour, she'd own the ground he stood on. Her assistant's text came through. "They're signing now." Maya closed her eyes for a moment, thinking of her mother's words from years ago. "Baby, when they build walls, you build elevators, and then help others rise up too." Another message. First set done. Moving to final signatures. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she typed back a quick thank you. This wasn't just about buying a building. It was about proving that excellence could overcome prejudice, that determination could defeat discrimination. The next 15 minutes felt like hours. Maya watched people entering and leaving the building, none of them aware that ownership was changing hands above their heads. A young woman was turned away at the door of Bellamy's. Maya made a mental note to remember that moment. Finally, the message she'd been waiting for arrived. "It's done. Congratulations, building owner." Maya sat quietly in her car, letting the reality sink in. She owned it. She actually owned it. The building, Bellamy's, all of it. Tears welled up in her eyes as she thought about what her mother would say. This wasn't just a business deal, it was a statement about what was possible. She stepped out of her car, straightening her suit jacket. The morning sun hit the building's windows, making them sparkle. Soon, very soon, those doors would be open to everyone who deserved to walk through them. But first, she had a meeting to plan, one that would shock everyone at Bellamy's. Maya took one last look at the building, her building, before driving away. The real work was about to begin. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising above and creating lasting change. And Maya Richardson was about to change everything. 1 week after the purchase, Maya stood in the elevator of her building, smoothing down her navy blue suit. Her heart was racing, but her face remained calm. Today was the day, the reveal she'd been planning for months. Bellamy's management team was waiting upstairs for what they thought was a routine meeting with their new landlord. "Ready?" her lawyer asked, standing beside her. The elevator numbers ticked upward. 8, 9, 10. "I've been ready for this my whole life," Maya replied, gripping her leather portfolio a little tighter. Inside were the new lease terms she'd carefully crafted, terms that would transform how Bellamy's operated. The conference room door opened, and Maya's lawyer entered first. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. Allow me to introduce the new owner of this building, Ms. Maya Richardson." Maya walked in, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. The shock on their faces was immediate. She recognized the store manager, the regional director, and, sitting in the corner, the security guard who turned her away 3 months ago. His face went pale as recognition dawned. "Good morning," Maya said, her voice steady and professional. "I believe some of us have met before, though under less favorable circumstances." She took her seat at the head of the table, placing her portfolio in front of her. The store manager started to speak, but Maya raised her hand gently. "Before we begin, I'd like to share a story." She opened a bottle of water, taking a small sip. 3 months ago, I came to Bellamy's to buy a handbag. I'd just closed a major investment deal, and I wanted to celebrate. Instead, I was told the store was closed for a private event, while other customers shopped freely inside. The security guard shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The regional director's face had turned red. But Maya wasn't here for revenge. She had bigger plans. Today, we're not here to discuss the past. We're here to talk about the future. She opened her portfolio. I have here the terms for your new lease agreement. You'll find them quite different from your previous arrangement. She passed out copies of the document. The first change you'll notice is the requirement for comprehensive diversity training for all staff members. The second is a new hiring initiative focusing on creating opportunities for underrepresented groups in luxury retail. The room was silent as they flipped through the pages. Maya continued, "You'll also see a requirement for monthly reports on customer service metrics, broken down by demographics. And finally, a commitment to community engagement through partnerships with local organizations." The regional director cleared his throat. "Ms. Richardson, while we appreciate your concerns, these terms are highly unusual." Maya smiled. "So is buying a building because you were discriminated against in one of its stores. But here we are." She leaned forward slightly. "Let me be clear. I'm not here to run you out of business. I'm here to help you do better business." She pulled out another document. "I've done my research. Stores with inclusive practices see an average 30% increase in revenue. Diverse teams make better decisions. It's not just the right thing to do, it's smart business." Looking directly at the security guard, she added, "Everyone in this room has a choice. You can be part of the change, or you can find another location for your store. The old way of doing business ends today." The store manager spoke up, her voice shaky but sincere. "What kind of support will we receive for implementing these changes?" Maya's expression softened. This was what she'd hoped for. Openness to change. Full support. Training resources, recruitment assistance, everything you need. "I want you to succeed, just in a way that includes everyone who can afford to shop here." For the next hour, they discussed the details. Maya answered questions, addressed concerns, and shared her vision for the future. By the end, even the security guard was taking notes. As the meeting wrapped up, Maya stood. "Change isn't always comfortable, but it's always possible. I look forward to working with all of you to make Bellamy's a model of inclusive luxury retail." Walking out, she caught her reflection in the window. She thought about that day 3 months ago, standing outside these same windows. Sometimes the biggest changes start with a single moment of rejection, and sometimes those changes end up being exactly what everyone needed. In the weeks that followed, Maya's vision for change began taking shape. She arrived early one morning to watch the installation of new signage in the building's lobby. A simple but elegant display reading "Welcome" in 12 different languages. It was a small change that sent a big message. Inside Bellamy's, the transformation was even more striking. The security guard who'd once turned her away was now attending his third diversity training session, taking notes with surprising enthusiasm. Maya had watched him from a distance, noticing how he'd started greeting every customer with the same warm smile, regardless of their appearance. "The numbers are in for the first month," her assistant said, handing her a report. Maya flipped through it, a smile spreading across her face. Customer traffic had increased by 25%, and sales were up despite some initial resistance to the changes. The most significant shift wasn't in the numbers, though. It was in the atmosphere. Gone was the tense, exclusionary feeling that had once filled the store. In its place was something new, a genuine warmth that made everyone feel welcome. Maya walked through the store, watching as a young sales associate helped an elderly woman try on scarves. The associate, hired through their new community outreach program, had previously worked at a local boutique. "She has an amazing eye for style," the store manager had told Maya. "We would have missed out on her talent under our old hiring practices." In the break room, Maya had installed a suggestion box for employees. Today, it was overflowing with ideas. One caught her eye. "Could we start a mentorship program for high school students interested in fashion retail?" It was signed by the security guard himself. The training sessions had evolved beyond basic diversity awareness. Now they included workshops on luxury customer service, fashion history, and business management. Maya had brought in experts from across the industry, making Bellamy's a leader in retail education. Ms. Richardson, a voice called from behind her. It was one of the new sales associates hired through their community partnership program. I just wanted to thank you. My daughter sees me working here, and now she believes she can do anything. Maya felt her throat tighten with emotion. This was exactly what she'd hoped for. Not just changing a store, but changing perspectives, one person at a time. The regional director, who'd initially been skeptical, had become one of their strongest advocates. Our other locations are asking about implementing similar programs, he told Maya during their weekly meeting. They've seen our success and want to follow our lead. Even the physical space was changing. Maya had worked with a local artist to install displays celebrating diversity in fashion. The window displays now featured a rotating selection of designs from up-and-coming creators of all backgrounds. Each display told a story of creativity unrestricted by prejudice. One afternoon, Maya overheard a conversation between two customers. "This place feels different now," one said to the other. "Like it's still luxurious, but also human." Maya smiled to herself. That was exactly what she'd aimed for. The store's new training manual, which Maya had helped develop, included a section titled "The Cost of Discrimination." It wasn't just about morality. It showed in clear numbers how bias hurt business. The security guard had asked for extra copies to share at his church's business ministry. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Stopped by the store today. Nearly cried when I saw the welcome sign. So proud of you, baby." Maya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what they'd accomplished. In the store's newly renovated customer lounge, Maya watched as a diverse group of shoppers chatted over complimentary coffee. This wasn't just about selling luxury goods anymore. It was about creating a space where excellence and inclusion worked hand in hand. "We're not done yet," Maya told her team during their end-of-month meeting. "This is just the beginning." On the wall behind her hung a new motto, one that captured everything they stood for. "Luxury is for every worthy wallet." The story of Bellamy's transformation spread like wildfire through the city's retail community. 6 months after Maya's takeover, a local business magazine requested an interview. She sat in her office, looking at the reporter's questions, smiling at how far they'd come. "Tell me how this all started," the reporter asked, her recorder blinking on the desk between them. Maya shared the story of that fateful day, but focused on what came after. "Being turned away from the store hurt," she admitted, "but it sparked something bigger than revenge. It showed me an opportunity to create real change." The article went viral overnight. Other luxury retailers started calling, wanting to know more about Bellamy's new training programs. Maya's inbox filled with messages from business owners across the country, all asking the same question: "How did you do it?" One morning, she arrived to find a small crowd gathered outside the store. A young woman stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "I was turned away from 3 luxury stores last year," she said. "But yesterday, I bought my first designer bag here. Your story gave me courage to try again." The security guard, who'd become one of their strongest advocates for change, had started giving talks at retail security conferences. "It's not about keeping people out anymore," he told his colleagues. "It's about making sure everyone feels safe and welcome while they're shopping with us." Local business schools began using Bellamy's as a case study in ethical business transformation. Maya was invited to speak at their seminars, where she always emphasized the same point. Inclusion isn't just morally right, it's good business. The store's success caught the attention of the fashion industry. Major designers, impressed by Bellamy's new approach, started offering them exclusive collections. "We want our clothes in stores that truly welcome everyone," one famous designer told Maya during a meeting. But the most meaningful changes were the small ones. Like the elderly gentleman who came in looking nervous, clutching a list from his granddaughter. The staff helped him pick out the perfect graduation gift, treating him with the same respect they showed their wealthiest clients. Maya's mother visited the store regularly now, proud to see her daughter's vision in action. One day, she overheard a young sales associate telling a customer, "My boss taught me that style has no barriers. We're here to help everyone find their luxury." The numbers told their own story. Sales had doubled. Customer satisfaction scores were at record highs. Employee turnover had dropped to almost zero. Other stores in the building started adopting similar practices, creating a ripple effect of positive change. One afternoon, Maya found the security guard training a new employee. "Remember," he was saying, "our job is to make people feel welcome, not judge. That's the real luxury experience." The store's break room wall now featured a customer stories board, filled with letters and photos from happy shoppers. "First time I've felt truly welcomed in a luxury store," one note read. "Thank you for changing the game." Media coverage continued to grow. Business channels featured Bellamy's as an example of successful corporate transformation. They didn't just change their policies. One analyst noted, they changed the whole culture of luxury retail. Maya kept the photo from that first day, when she'd been turned away, pinned to her office wall. Not as a reminder of the hurt, but as a symbol of how far they'd come. Below it, she'd written her favorite quote, "Success is the best response to discrimination." During a staff meeting, an employee shared how her daughter's school had used Bellamy's story in a lesson about creating change. "They learned that sometimes the best way to fight exclusion is to become the includer," she said proudly. The store's new window display featured a simple message: "Luxury is a feeling, not a stereotype." Passersby often stopped to take photos, sharing them on social media with messages of support and appreciation. Maya stood at her office window, watching the diverse crowd of customers entering and exiting the store. Each person who walked through those doors was helping write a new chapter in retail history. Sometimes the biggest changes start with a single no that leads to 1,000 yes. 1 year to the day after Maya bought the building, she organized a special celebration. The store closed early, and employees gathered in the beautifully decorated main floor. Looking around the room, she could hardly believe how much had changed in just 12 months. The security guard, now promoted to Chief of Customer Relations, stood at the podium sharing his story. "A year ago, I was part of the problem," he said, his voice full of emotion. "Today, I train other security teams across the city on how to create a welcoming environment. Life has a funny way of teaching us lessons." The crowd included faces from all walks of life: store employees, customers, business leaders, and community members. Maya's mother sat in the front row, beaming with pride as speakers shared how the store's transformation had touched their lives. "When I first applied here," one sales associate said, "I never thought I'd be promoted to department manager within a year. But Ms. Richardson taught us that talent knows no boundaries." The young woman's success story had already inspired others to apply for positions they'd once thought were out of reach. Maya watched as the store manager presented their yearly results. Sales had tripled. Customer satisfaction was at 98%. Their training program had become so successful that they'd started offering certification courses to other luxury retailers. But the numbers only tell part of the story. Maya said when it was her turn to speak, "The real success is in the lives we've touched." She pointed to the wall where they displayed photographs from the past year. Customers celebrating their first luxury purchase, employees receiving promotions, community events that had brought people together. The store's new apprenticeship program, which partnered with local high schools, had already helped 5 students start careers in luxury retail. One of them, a bright young woman who'd once been told she didn't look right for luxury retail, was now one of their top sales performers. "Remember that suggestion box we installed?" Maya asked the crowd. Last week, it was empty for the first time. Not because people stopped having ideas, but because everyone now feels confident enough to share their thoughts openly. The celebration included a fashion show featuring designs from their new incubator program, which supported upcoming designers from underrepresented communities. The models were store employees, showing that beauty and style come in all forms. Maya's mother took the stage next, holding up an old photo of their small house in Detroit. "My daughter could have chosen revenge," she said. "Instead, she chose to create change. That's true power." The security guard presented Maya with a plaque signed by all the employees. "Thank you for teaching us that luxury isn't about excluding people," it read. "It's about making everyone feel extraordinary." Near the end of the evening, Maya announced their newest initiative, a scholarship program for students interested in fashion and retail management. "We're not just changing one store," she said. "We're changing the future of retail." A young customer stood up to share her story. "Last year, I was turned away from 3 different luxury stores. Yesterday, I got hired here as a junior buyer. This place didn't just change its policies, it changed lives." The regional director, who'd initially resisted the changes, now regularly gave presentations at retail conferences about the benefits of inclusive luxury retail. "Our success here has become a blueprint for the entire industry," he proudly told the audience. As the evening wound down, Maya took a quiet moment to walk through the store. The displays now featured a diverse range of mannequins, the marketing materials showed people of all backgrounds, and even the music playlist reflected various cultures. "Mom," she said, finding her mother near the entrance, "remember when you told me to send the elevator back down once I reached the top?" Her mother nodded, squeezing her hand. "I think we've built something better than an elevator," Maya smiled. "We've built a whole new building, one with doors open to everyone who deserves to walk through them." As guests left the celebration, each received a small box. Inside was a keychain with a simple message: "Welcome home." Because that's what Bellamy's had become, not just a luxury store, but a home for everyone's dreams of excellence. Maya took one last look around before leaving. The store's lights illuminated the new window display. "Our greatest luxury is your success. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about lifting everyone higher."